volunteers rolling up their sleeves.
Day, night, and weekend, we keep you up to date on the news, traffic, and weather.
Beautification volunteers doing their thing on campuses all over Oakland.
It's one more reason why we're the Bay Area's #1 news station.
On the already beautiful campus of Westlake Middle School, Jim Taylor, KCBS.
All news, all the time, right here on KCBS.
And traffic and weather together. It's 12:28. We're going to look at the roadways with Frank.
Now, the connector from southbound 101 to Highway 25 is being beautified just a bit. We have a problem which we had closing that off-ramp now cleared. So 25, which had been shut down between the 101 split and Bloomfield Road, again south of Gilroy, has now reopened. Still no firm confirmation that we have the Orange Drive on-ramp to eastbound 80 in Vacaville reopened in the wake of a crash in which a car downed a power pole on eastbound 80 just before Leisure Town Road, but no indication that lanes of 80 are blocked. Northbound 880 just before Dixon Landing Road in Milpitas, we have word of a crash there, but that crash is being moved from the shoulder off to city streets. Your next update at 12:38 on the traffic leader KCBS.
Thank you, Frank. Looks like pretty heavy marine layer rolling in from the coast to the valleys. Lows in the 50s and 60s. It'll be sunny today and tomorrow after morning overcast with partial clearing at the beaches. Highs from the 60s at the coast, 70s and 80s around the bay, and upper 90s inland. Traffic and weather together on the 8th on All News 106.9 at AM 740 KCBS.
Standing up for what's right. Helping out when things go wrong. Raising our voices alone or together. Speaking the truth and speaking our mind. Not just making records, but breaking them. Fighting for victory on the battlefield and on the playing field. Seeing the world through new eyes and the earth from miles above. Redefining beauty, grace, and what it really means to be queen. Making ourselves bathe and on screen. Showing the way in Silicon Valley. And showing up for others whenever help is needed most. Not just making our mark, but making a difference. Now that's a job for a Girl Scout. Girl Scouts, preparing girls for a lifetime of leadership. News that matters to you. Summer Bay, around the world, around the clock. All News 106.9 and AM 740 KCBS.
It's Friday, August the 19th, 2022. Coming up on KCBS, many businesses were devastated by the pandemic, keeping foot traffic away for more than 2 years. That includes the Oakland Zoo. But there might be a solution. I'm Elisa Clancy, KCBS News Time 12:31. CBS is next.
CBS News Brief. Used to justify the search of former President Trump's home. CBS's Nicole Genga.
Federal prosecutors opposed its release, saying they wanted to protect the integrity of an ongoing law enforcement investigation.
White House Monkeypox Response Coordinator Robert Benton says the administration is taking steps to vaccinate large populations of at-risk people, specifically gay and bisexual men.
This is important. It's innovative. The way that we will bolster local efforts to meet people where they are and mitigate the spread of monkeypox.
Update your Apple devices. Website that has hacker code embedded in it. It can be downloaded and run a program that can do nefarious things to your device, accessing it and operating it in ways that might not otherwise authorize.
KCBS News Time 12:32.
The pandemic was a wrecking ball to the revenues of countless businesses and ventures that relied on visitors and in-person business, and that includes the Oakland Zoo. But the solution to the voters in November is an annual $68 property tax imposed over a 20-year period. Seniors and low-income earners would be exempt. For more, KCBS's Patty Rising and Brett Burkhart spoke with Nick DeHaye, CEO of the Oakland Zoo.
Just how hard did the pandemic hit the Oakland Zoo's budget?
Well, I think certainly
we've never experienced this before. And all of a sudden, our primary source of revenue just vanished overnight. With that, obviously, a heartbreaking decision to lay off staff and focusing very directly on the health and safety of our animals. And with that, down to 3 months of cash remaining. So it was a very, very difficult time.
You mentioned you get most of your revenue from ticket sales from the gate entrance. Is that true of other zoos?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Most zoos, and there are 240 of them, zoos and aquariums across the country, primarily it is ticket sales, membership, certainly some private philanthropic support.
So, how did the idea of a property tax emerge?
Well, zoos across the country bring great value to our communities and our cities, and part of that certainly is a public funding partnership. It's common across leading zoos, so we in Oakland receive about 8% of our budget from the public. Other zoos receive more than double or significantly more. So whether it's the San Francisco Zoo, the San Diego Zoo, or even the Fresno Zoo that receives more than $15 million annually. So we're just trying to catch up to these other leading zoos across the country.
So how did you decide on a property tax in particular instead of trying to boost revenues in other ways?
Well, I mean, we're always trying to diversify our funding. So private fundraising, grants, we look at all different ways to do this. But we are relying on a public-private partnership. Certainly, we could raise funds by raising our gate price or our admission, which in fact has nearly doubled over the past 10 years. But that's what we're trying to avoid. We want the zoo to be more accessible, not less. And so by raising funds through property tax would enable us to do all the work that we can and need to do, but also keep our admission price as well.
Is there polling done on the voters' sentiment when it comes to proposing a tax in November? Is there an appetite for this tax?
Yes, we have conducted polling, and people resoundingly want to see the zoo be better. There's a lot of nostalgia around what the zoo represents, and certainly what we want to achieve. It is about education, it's about reaching youth in the classes in Oakland. It's about taking care of wildlife, and certainly our animals, many of them which are rescued. And it's about giving more access to people who need it, so low-income populations that don't have access. Just yesterday, I received a hand-drawn card from a preschool class in the city of Oakland. 25 students who had never been to the zoo and having that first experience. So how tremendous is that? I mean, it feels so good, and the ability to do more and to do hundreds of thousands more of those types of visits over the years is really important.
And you're coming up on this November ballot measure during a particularly tough time, right? You have got to sell this when inflation is still rising.
Yeah, I mean, that's for sure. Look, I mean, investing in the zoo is really about investing in Oakland, and it's about investing in education, in care for our animals, certainly our staff, and investing in the access that is